that joins in, the meeting is officially being recorded. So if you choose to stay, you're giving consent to being recorded. Yeah, but thanks, Jade, for introducing yourself. Anybody else wants to go next?
I can go next. Hi, everybody. My name is Lebu Mashaba. It's a privilege to be here. I got an invitation from Betha directly.
Yes, thank you for coming.
So I'm absolutely looking forward to the session. I think we had a small debrief about the OKRs when I asked in terms of, how does everybody kind of prepare for the year? And that's how, I became part of the session. So I'm looking forward to learning quite a bit and learning more about what Betha is doing in terms of the space. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Level.
And the name of our company is Real PPE Marketplace. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Level. Anybody else wants to go with introductions? Okay.
Recording is on.
Okay, so we can go back to introductions a little bit later. But because I think people are coming in one by one, and so before we go into the agenda, I was just displaying it the whole time. I just wanted to just gather some of the the comments I've gotten from people that are attending or planning to attend this event. As I've mentioned, we've advertised this on Meetup, we advertised this on LinkedIn, and also to some of the people that I know personally. And we were gathering info around what people are aiming to get out of this event. So I just wanted to share this so that we can, just, retouch, touch base again at the end of the event and see if we've learned everything that was intended for the event. So most people, and you'll see across the board, a lot of the people talked about learning. Everybody wants to learn more about OKRs. There's a little bit of networking, hence we are doing the introductions so that we can learn about what everybody else is doing. And I'm hoping that at the end of the event we can share a network between each other, because the whole point of these events is not just to learn but also to build contacts and to start to connect with other women in the tech space, and that's what we're hoping to build over time. So networking is going to be a big part of this event. We want to know what you're doing. We'll share about what we are doing, and later on we can exchange information between each other, right? And there's people that talked about, I think the majority of people just want to learn about OKRs, and we are definitely going to achieve that before the end of the day. And I'm going to also just go and introduce myself a little bit so that you know who I am. My name is Betha Hokong. I studied engineering, but of course I don't do that anymore. I am a full-time entrepreneur doing a whole lot of things in the entrepreneurial space, and I'm always excited to meet new people and make new connections. And I'm excited about this event. And hopefully by the end of today, I would have met a couple of new people. And feel free to ask questions as we go along. Don't wait until the end of the function. You can either stop me as I'm talking, or you can type in the chat box. I don't always see the chat box, but I will look at it at the end and try and go through all the questions that are in there. So our business is study software, mostly software development, and I'm also passionate about networking, specifically with women in business, because there's so few of us that I think the few of us that are there, we should make the effort to to at least build the networks and gain from our connections, right? So I'm going to go back into the agenda, and then I'm going to go back into the introductions. There's two people that have introduced themselves so far. I see about 7 people in the meeting, so there's a couple more that need to. Don't be shy, even if you just want to say your name. That's enough. Also use the chat box to pop in your LinkedIn in there, so you can just type your LinkedIn profile page in there, and people can connect with you even after the event, and we can also facilitate the connections. But yeah, I will give you guys a little bit more time to introduce yourselves. Anybody else wants to go with introductions?
Hi guys, I'm seeing this is getting awkward. I'm Califo, I'm Gibbs alumni, and I saw the invite on one of the Gibbs WhatsApp groups.
Oh yes, okay, wonderful. Thanks for joining.
I'm an entrepreneur, and I guess I was just an academic at heart, so I'm interested in the topic.
Okay, cool. Sure, thanks. Anybody else wants to do introductions, or else we'll just go straight into it, and you can pop your things in the chat box and we'll just connect from there. All right, cool. So another thing I want to mention with respect to admin, I've just popped my email address as well on the screen that I'm sharing right now. Please take note of that. If there is somebody, or that a name that you saw, or somebody that said something quickly about introducing themselves, and you think you want to get in touch with somebody else, just pop me an email and I will do my best to try and make the connections. All right. So today's event is about OKRs, and I'm glad that the majority of what people want to get out of this event is to learn and understand about OKRs. So what is OKRs? I don't have a slide presentation, so we are not going to go through 10 or 100 slides. I'm going to talk to you guys, and you're welcome to stop me and ask questions. But part of this presentation as well is to to demonstrate and do a demo of an OKR tool, so that we can show you exactly not just what it is, but actually how to use it and how to actually get started with objective key results. All right. So very high level, the term OKR stands for the O stands for objective, K key, and then the R is results. If you read it out, it says objective key results. It is basically a goal setting methodology. What that means is that it is a tool and a function that you can use to set goals. You can set goals for individuals, for your team, for your organizations, but it's really at a high level, a tool that you can use for goal setting. And back when I was in corporate, before I started my own business, we used to do goal setting with what we called KPIs. I think everybody knows, or would at least have heard about KPIs, because KPIs have been popular throughout a lot of corporate South Africa. Back then I was working and employed at Sasol, and we used to do, at the beginning of the year, your boss would come to you and say, well, these are the organizational KPIs, and we're going to, take these KPIs and we're going to give you your own KPIs. And then you would get this list of things, a bunch of things you must achieve by the end of the year. And then come performance management season, you will sit with your boss and go through these KPIs, and then they would rate you and say, 1 out of 5, you belong here, or you belong there, or you got a 3, or you got a 2. And then they would do this thing where they called the curve thing, where they would fit everybody into a curve, and everybody used to always end up with a 3, and that would affect, your performance. That was how they measured you, and that's how they tracked, and they did goal setting within organizations. This is the old way of doing things, in my mind, because it's very much, after the fact. By the time you get feedback about how you performed and what you've done, it's at that KPI meeting where they are telling you that actually you performed badly and this is your score for the year and things like that. OKRs, on the other hand, can do exactly what KPIs do, but in a different approach. What I love about OKRs is the proactive nature of OKRs. OKRs, as opposed to KPIs, you don't set them at the beginning of a season and then wait for the end to measure how you've done on the OKRs. OKRs are more of a proactive approach, and I will demonstrate all of this as I go along with the presentation. But I just wanted to make that distinction very early in the meeting, that you might be familiar with KPIs, but just keep in mind that there's a very huge distinction and a reason why organizations are moving away from KPIs and going into OKRs. Very high level, there's a lot of, OKRs is a Silicon Valley thing, right? So big organizations like Google is one of the first or most popular big organizations that use OKRs within their teams and as a goal tracking methodology. I think they're one of the ones that have made it popular. Companies like Intel, a lot of the Silicon Valley companies use OKRs because of their proactive nature, right? So I'm going to go into how you would actually now employ it. And I think this is all the theory I'm going to cover as far as this subject is concerned. We're going to go very straight into the practicality of it, which is the whole point of this presentation or this session here today. And we're going to go into exactly how you would actually get started with it. So on my other screen over here, I have a tool that we use for OKRs, and some of these links I will share with you later on if you want to read on the theories of it. Right, I've got some theory and a lot of reading material that I can link for you in the presentation, where we explain very, like in detail what these things are and what they mean, right? But like I said, today I want to focus more on the practicality of it. Similar to KPIs. When you want to develop OKRs, you need to develop them at levels within the organization. So when you get started, the CEO or the executive, will sit in their boss berand and they will, develop what they call, I don't know, a strategy for the company or a direction, a very high level strategic position where that the company needs to go. So if you look at my notes there, that's step one. So at a very high level within a team, even if it's a small team and you're the CEO or you're just a team of one or a team of two, you want to start with a very high level thinking around this company and this organization, whether it's for a year or the next 5 years, where do we want to go strategically and develop a business strategy. This used to be something that was complicated where, they would bring in McKinsey guys to sit with you for like a couple of weeks developing business strategies. But nowadays, especially for a small business, you're not going to afford consultants and the McKinseys and all of that. You are able to actually just, use AI tools. You're able to, to think around the box, outside of the box, and find ways to at least start developing a business strategy. And I'll show you very quickly how you can we all mute ourselves in the call? I will show you very high level how you can actually just, thank you for muting there. I will show you. Okay, thank you for muting there because there's some background noises there disrupting the call. All right, cool. So I'll show you very high level within step one of the process how to work and get a business strategy using tools that are available freely on the internet, right? So that's the first step. So imagine and I've got an example of a prompt here. I'm going to assume I'm a CEO of an organization, and I'm going to just ask AI to help me develop a high-level strategy document that I can use to start developing my OKRs, because that is where you would want to get started. And for business strategy, what you want to think around is, as this company, where do you want to go with respect to growth, with respect to culture, with respect to, there are different levels of sort of like strategy that you want to look at, and you can make it as simple or as complicated as possible. The idea is you can use AI tools to help you develop this, but you need to prompt them with something. So I've written an example prompt that I'm going to put into an AI tool. I think everybody's familiar with the likes of ChatGPT, because I don't have time to go and, sit in a boss berand to write a strategy document. So you can, the beauty about AI tools is that you can just, talk to it in natural language and it will develop a strategy for you. So I'm going to assume I'm an e-commerce business. So I've given myself a name as an e-commerce business. I'm going to assume that for the year of 2024, all I want to do is I want to grow my sales, and I want to grow my online, and I want to grow my WhatsApp sales. So I'm going to be very simple. You could add in here all the things you want to achieve, very high level. And I'm going to say, this year I want to increase profits and I want to cut costs. Okay. So after I've done that, I'm going to ask the AI tool to help me develop smart objectives and goals for the year. Remember when we talked about OKRs, we said this OKR, the O stands for objectives and key, and the KR stands for key results. So the very first step in developing your OKRs is saying, let me just get high level objectives that I need for the organization. And as an organization, you need, I would say you don't want to focus on more than 5 objectives at a time. Everybody you talk to will tell you something different. But the thing is that you don't want to chase 100 rabbits. You want to focus on very high level, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 objectives that you can say, these are the things we're going to do within this period of time. And then we're going to work on these goals, and we're going to work on getting those things happen, right? To make those things happen. But here I've asked you to give me 6. All right. The reason why I asked you to give me 6 is maybe I'll pick from the 6 that it gives me, or I'll use the 6 that it gives me to develop my own. The whole point is, how do you get started? We're not saying that you should now use AI to develop your goals, but for me personally, I use it to at least give me a starting point, like on a map. Where do I get started? And once I have that starting point, I can always take that and then further develop it into something that's workable, that makes sense for me as my business. But some people get stuck because they don't even know where to get started, right? So this is why, for me personally, I'll start my strategy journey with AI. And then I'll say to it, after you've given me these 6 high level objectives, then for these high level objectives, give me a couple of key results, right? And AI is smart enough to understand what is OKRs. So even if you just say, help me with OKRs, it will do that because it knows what is OKRs. That's the beauty of it. So I've opened my ChatGPT here. Everybody, I think, should know what this is and be familiar with it. You can get the free version. And I'm just going to paste that prompt that I had typed in there. I'm just going to paste that in there and say, please help me. This is my business. These are the things I want to focus on. And these are the high level goals I want to do. And get it to write, on a business level, the goals. So while it's busy doing that, I'm going to go back to my notes and just remind you of the steps, right? The first step here is, like I said, start with a high level business strategy. So where we are right now is that we're trying to get very high level business direction. After we've done that, we're going to now take that high level business directive and start to create objectives per department or per the what we call relevant departments. So if you're an e-commerce business, maybe you've got marketing, maybe you've got sales, and you've got production, or maybe you've got business development. So those are like different departments within a business. Once you have a high level set of objectives, you want to now break it down into a department level. So if for the business we are saying this year we want to increase revenue on a business strategy level, how does that reflect in the different departments? What does marketing need to do as a department? What does production need to do? What does business development need to do? You need to take those goals the same way you would do with OKRs, the same way you cascade them down. You do the exact same thing with the same way you would do it with KPIs, you would do the exact same things with OKR. You would cascade them down per department. So luckily our AI, I think I had already told it to also look around the departments. It actually developed based on that thing that I gave it. It gave me something for marketing, it gave me something for sales, it gave me something for production, customer service, and I didn't even tell it what these departments are. It just sort of figured out from what kind of a business I am that I would have these kind of departments in there. And this is, like I said, you don't necessarily have to just copy and paste what you're getting out of here. This is guidance, right? So if you look at this and you read it now, you are the CEO and you're like, okay, fine. I know I want to grow revenue and I want to increase sales. Within the marketing department, does this make sense for me that I should be, the objective it's suggesting here is to say, enhance online visibility and brand awareness, okay? And then it's giving me a couple of key results. Key results are, if you think about it this way, a high level objective is a goal, right? A goal that we're going to achieve this thing. This is our target. A key result is now, measures or things you will do to meet that goal, right? So once you have an objective, you need to then decide 2 to 3 key results. These are things that are going to be working to push the goal forward. So if your goal is to enhance online brand awareness as a high level objective, these represent key results, which are like the next layer down of the 3 things you must do to achieve that high level objective. So for example, to enhance online visibility, I need to increase my web traffic by 30%. I need to grow my social media by 25%. I need to achieve a 15% increase in email newsletter subscriptions. These are suggestions, but it gives you an idea and you can already start to see, okay, cool. Okay, so I want to do online growth. I must do these 3 things. And if I do these 3 things, if I push the needle, I like to use that term. If I push the needle on these 3 things, I am guaranteed to achieve that objective, right? Same with the next one. This one is now looking at WhatsApp sales channel, for example. If I can convert 20% of my sales, if I can launch a chatbot, for example, this is a suggestion from the AI. If I can develop and implement a referral program via WhatsApp, I will push the sales forward, right? So these are like things that you get measurable. We talk about SMART goals, measurable, achievable goals within a time limit that you can do to achieve that high level objective. Now I think I'm going to pause a little bit so I can get a feedback from around the room, if at least it's clearer now what this specific OKR stands for when you're talking about a high level objective, and then you talk about the key results that can help push that objective forward, right? Any comments around the room with respect to that relationship and what that means before I proceed any further, to just make sure that we're all on the same page? Anyone? Yes, makes sense. I see somebody typed yes, makes sense in the chat board there. And it's clear. Well, thank you, Jade. Okay, cool. So if that's clear and that makes sense, this is now developing them. Now, if we left this here, this is where KPIs break away from OKRs. Because with KPIs, you would do something similar. They'll tell you KPIs must be measurable. They'll tell you KPIs must have a time limit. It must be SMART goals. This is where KPIs and OKRs split paths, all right? Because up to this level, all we've done is to actually just define what the goals are, all right? Now, where OKRs differ from KPIs is we don't leave things here. We don't define the goals and say, okay, cool, we've defined our goals. Let's wait for the end of the year so we can measure what we're doing and we can see if we achieved 20% there or 30% there. We don't do that with OKRs. Once we have defined them, now we go into the process of actually living the life. Now this is where I'm gonna share with you the OKR tool that we use, for example, that you can use. There's many OKR tools. I'm not saying you must use this one. Most of them are similar. They work pretty much in the same way, but the idea is that you use the tools to now load these OKRs that you've developed and start working on tracking them on a daily basis. The whole point of OKRs is sort of like what we call the proactive approach in regularly working on measuring them on a proactive basis, right? So this OKR tool that I'm sharing with you is called Skoko. It's got many other things happening. It's like a business software, but on the menu to the left, you'll see somewhere there it says OKR app. And if you go into the objectives list, this is where you will land on a page like this, right? So on a page like this, you would come here and you can click on create over there. And if you click on create over there, you can load your objective, right? You can load the title of the objective. You can load who's responsible in the organization to achieve that objective. You can load whether it's a team or a personal objective, and then you can pick the department that objective belongs to, right? I'm not going to go into the process of doing this manually because it will take a little bit of time, but you can load the start date and you can load the end date, and then you can describe in detail what that objective is. This is now loading what you have developed from your strategy session, Boss Berand, whatever. You come in here and you load it into an OKR tool to record it, right? So this allows you to load an objective. Once you finish loading an objective, it will look like this. I've loaded an example objective here so that we can use it. And that objective is for our business, and this is a real objective. We are going to start applying and bidding on tenders this year. We've never done it before, but this is an objective that we've set for ourselves for the year, right? This objective I've already defined. If I go into edit objective, so I can show you how I defined it. The title of the objective was start applying for tenders. I have to give it to a person within the team, and I gave it to that person. And then it's a team objective, which means we are all working on it together, and it falls into the procurement department. We're going to start working on this objective on the 1st of January, and we're going to end on the 12th of December, which is gives us a whole year of a period. And then I talk a little bit more about what it means. We need to start applying for tenders. We want to win tenders and so forth, right? So this is like a very high level is an objective for the business, right? So I'm going to go back to where I was with the objective. After I've defined an objective, now I need to pick the key results. The key results, remember, are those things that we can do to push the needle on the objective. So I need to ask myself, for me to successfully apply for tenders this year, what do I need to do, right? So the first key result I thought of is, okay, we're going to make sure that every week we submit one tender. So that's the first key result we created. We're going to say every week we're going to submit one tender. And then by the end of the year, maybe we've done 50 tenders or something like that, right? So if you look at this key result, okay, no, this is not where I need to be. Let me just show you where you created a new key result. Under the objective, it looks the same as the objective page, but it's different. This is now the key result. You enter the title. So here you would say, okay, this year we want to, every week we will submit one tender. And you, again, everything has to be given, has to have a responsible person that you assign that key result to. You have to select the units. What is the current value? Currently, we are submitting 0 tenders a week. And by the end, we would have 1 tender submitted. Also, a start, end date, and a description, right? I'm going to leave that and not go into the details. But the point is, you need to find key results to support your objective. Now, industry best practice is, again, for each and every objective, you want between 3 and 5. You don't want less than 2. You don't want just 1 key result. You want at least 3, but maximum 5. You don't want more than 5 because, again, you are chasing too many rabbits. You need to focus on what are the 3 things I need to do to push this objective forward. So the first one in this real example is, I said we will do 1 tender a week. Okay, cool. The next one will say we want our win rate to be 10%, right? What does win rate mean? It means if we submit 10 tenders, we must win at least 1. We don't know how realistic this is. We're going to just start measuring it and then see how it goes, right? So again, you enter another key results that says out of every 10 tenders, we want a win rate of 10%. So we'll win 1 out of 10. We're just guessing. I need a third one. Right. So around tenders, you can think about it. Anyone can suggest if somebody has a suggestion of what do you think is the third key result that can help support this objective of submitting tenders, right? It could be, I don't know, subscribe to tender bulletin website or something like that, so that you get notifications on a regular basis. But that's not really a goal. You can just go do it. You don't have to measure it, So you need to think about things which you need to track on a regular basis. So something like submitting 1 tender a week is something you can track. So every month you can sit in a meeting and say, well, how many tenders did we submit this week? If it wasn't 1 a week, you are slipping on the key result, right? The second one, increase a win rate by 10%. You can sit at the end of the month or at the end of 2 months and ask, in a meeting and say, did we submit 10 tenders and how many did we win, right? If we won more than 2, it means we are overperforming on the key result. If we won less. So the idea around key results is you need to think about measurable things that you need to do that will push the objective forward, but measurable things you can track on a regular basis. You'll see here with the submission of the tenders, we are going to be tracking this weekly. So every week we will be asking, what did we do this week? With the increased rate, we need to do it maybe every 10 tenders, right? So think of a third one and so forth and so forth. So now we have taken, what we got from here, which was just a write-up with nice promises of what we must do. We have now defined it in a way that we can start to track it. Again, this is not the end of OKRs. This is we are still just defining it, right? The real magic happens where we start to track it, which is the next part in my note is tracking and measurement, right? I know I have it at the end, but it's not the last one, it's the next one. So after you've defined them, you start to track them. Within the OKR tool that I'm showing you, once you have defined your key results, you can click on this one, for example. If you click on this one, it takes you to, this is like a dashboard tracking place, right? This is where all the magic happens with OKRs. You look at what you have said you will achieve, right? We're going to start applying. You look at where you are. We are at 0 tenders weekly now. Our target is 1 tenders weekly, and we are currently at 0. So we started at 0, we are currently at 0, and our target is 1. Okay? Every week, you need to sit with your team. If your OKR must be tracked weekly, you must have a weekly OKR meeting. This is where the proactiveness comes in. You don't wait for your performance review to discuss OKRs. You don't wait for, for the end of the term or for the end of the year. You discuss it within the time period that you have assigned the OKR, right? Hi everyone, Sima from Ijobi. Welcome, Sima. You track it within the time period, so some key results will be trackable within a week, some within a month. It doesn't matter. So in our case, because we've got weekly sessions, every week we need to sit with the team and discuss what we're doing. So once you sit in an OKR meeting, you will get everyone together on a Monday morning, for example. That's a good time to get started. At Irish, you might have to refresh. Okay, sorry guys, I don't see all the chats. I try, but at the end I'll look through all of them and try and address everything if I've missed anything, right? So where was I? All right, so I'm busy discussing the regular tracking. So this is where we need to start doing the tracking. On a weekly basis, if you're tracking OKRs weekly, you have a weekly stand-up session. These sessions don't have to be long. This is not a meeting where you sit in a boardroom and you have discussions. They are called stand-up sessions because you actually need to have them standing up. All right. In our old organization, we used to literally stand up for the stand-up session. Even if you're doing it online, you must stand up because the whole point it must go quickly. If your OKR meeting is taking more than 15 minutes, it's too long. Right? So this is not something that you must be like, oh no, we can't have meetings every Monday. We don't have time. No. 10-minute session, standing up. All you need to do is, these are our OKRs. This week we need to discuss what we're doing. This is where we started. This is where we are. This is our target. What did we do this week? And then somebody will say, oh, we submitted 1 tender or we didn't submit. And then you report it. Somebody comes in here and clicks this button at the top that says update metric. You say, oh, we are still at 0. We submitted 0 this week. And then you say, oh, this was a tough week. Everyone is on leave. Or whatever it is, right? You update key result. You are done. That's it. And you'll see that your update is recorded under key result updates at the bottom there, and your meeting is over. That's it. So if you have like 3 or 4 key results, you do this 3 or 4 times. This doesn't take 10 minutes. You have recorded what you're doing. And so over time, this graph will populate. You'll see now it's empty. It's empty because I've just created this key result and there's nothing. But over time, if you use the tool, you'll see that, okay, you started here with 0, then it goes up, it goes down. The whole point is that you'll start to see what you're doing on a regular basis as you are tracking the OKRs. And then you'll have the comments at the bottom there. So maybe once every month, for example, not a week, once a month, you could have what we call an OKR recon session with the team where this is not a stand-up. This can now be a proper meeting. And then you can print an OKR report. So this tool also allows you to download. If you click here, it will download this for you in a PDF format with all the details that you need. And you can go into that meeting. You can say, you know what, guys, we are falling behind with our OKRs. You can read the comments that people have put in on a weekly basis because they have to comment as they submit or sort of answer on their OKRs. And you can, within your monthly meeting, you can discuss what needs to be done. So this is where we start to develop actions. That's the next part of OKRs. You have the objectives, you have the key results, you have the metrics. The metrics are now these things that you measure on a weekly basis. The last part of the puzzle is actions. Actions is where we say, you know what, we've been on 0 since 1 January. Every time there's an excuse, let's come up with an action that can help us improve on our OKR. So our action could be, maybe we need an intern who's going to work full-time and their job is to just search for tenders. because we're like falling behind on this thing because the team is on leave half the time. Whatever that action is, you can think through with your team, what do you think is an appropriate action to resolve this? So this is again where the proactiveness comes in, because when you're tracking something on a regular basis and you can see the trend and you can see whether you're moving up or down on a trend, you can start to say, no, we seem to be falling behind on this. Let's do something about this, right? So reporting on OKRs is not just about weekly putting in those stand-up meetings. It's that recon meeting you have now at the end of the month with your OKR report, and you say, what are we going to do action-wise? What are we going to do to meet up with to make up with this? So if we had an action, this allows you as well to record your actions, right? So you can say new task, right? You see at the top there it says new task. You can just click on this and pick a person. Let's say I assign this task to myself and I say, you know what, we need to hire a new intern. Just for example's sake, okay? We need an extra person to search for tenders weekly, okay? This is just an example. It could be anything. And then with an action, you give it a deadline. So let's say this needs to be done by the 8th of February. And then you say, cool, now we can create the task. If you scroll to the bottom there, you'll see now this person has been assigned a task. And the nice thing about this tool is that this person that's assigned a task, it goes into their calendar and it keeps reminding them, Uguti, they must do this. And when you have your stand-up sessions, you can also track the tasks and say how far are we with this task. You are asked to have you hired a new intern, have you done what you're supposed to do? And then you go through the next period again, measuring and tracking and see what you're doing with your metrics, and wait for the next month to do another recon, right? So this is a process. It's a process of taking these high-level written goals, right, and putting them in a system that allows you to measure, to track, to report, and to create actions around how to recover and come back to meet your goals, so that you are consistently working and meeting on your goals. So this is what has made OKRs really, really successful. And as compared to KPIs, for example, where you just sort of like create these goals and you measure at the end of the period, with OKRs you have this sort of like proactiveness and regular feedback and tracking of the goals. And it has proven successful by many, many companies. I think you just need to Google companies using OKRs, and you'll be surprised at some of the biggest sort of like corporates that use this methodology to track and to grow and things like that. So with that, I'm going to pause the demonstration because there's a next layer, but that depends on whether or not the team is keen on it. I mean, let me just like pause a little bit and ask some and sort of like get the feedback from the team, because I don't want to talk alone for a whole hour. Any comments so far with sort of what I've presented? Yeah, go ahead and speak. I mean, unmute yourself and speak if you want to go ahead.
Hi, Peter.
Yes.
Yes. Maybe just to follow up, at what point then does this link to KPIs?
Okay, so this doesn't link to KPIs; it links to performance management. So, and that's the next part of the discussion that I'm going to bring to you. So, KPIs can be used. Remember over here when I said you can have departmental level goals, individual level goals, and then you can have performance management. You can use this entire process with KPIs, right? But now we are using this entire process with OKRs. So I'm going to go into how this links with performance management. And performance management is now when you have individual people in your team or in your organization that you need to do performance management for, where you set their performance targets at the beginning of the year, and then you track the performance, and at the end of the year you say, well, this is how you have performed. But I will demonstrate that to you a little bit later and show you how you can do that with this tool and how it links and how it's easy to, like, at the end of the performance cycle, when you now sit with your employee or your team and you say, okay, now let's look at your performance for the year, you actually have, hence we call it data driven. It's not going to be something like, oh, we must fit this into a bell curve, like they do with KPIs. It's going to be, well, this was my OKRs, and this is how I've tracked them over the year. And this is how they've ended up, and we've been proactive throughout, and this is the data to prove, or this is what I've achieved, and whatever they have achieved for the year, that's their measurement, and that's how you sort of rank their performance. But I'm gonna go into explaining that to you a little bit later. Any other questions before we get into the performance part?
Question from my side, Beth at California here.
Yes.
I suppose you've been using is it Skoka? That's the
it's Skoka.
The platform or the Skoka. Oh, okay. Are there any other programs or softwares that perform similar functions that you've seen?
There's a lot.
Is this the best that you've seen?
There's a lot. I can't say whether this is the best. It's the one I use, and it's my tool. So I'm a bit biased, right? But there's a lot.
So you developed this one?
Yes. We developed this one. But if you just Google OKR, like I'm Googling now, right? And you say Googling OKR tracking tools. There's a lot. ClickUp, that is the discussion we were having in our WhatsApp group when we decided to have this session. People were discussing the ClickUp OKR tool, and there's other ones. You can just go, you'll find eight software. There's a lot of them. But personally, again, the reason why I'm demoing this one is obviously I'm biased. It's my tool. Yeah. But the main difference, which I think, as biased as I am, this is what most OKR tools don't have, is that this is not a standalone OKR tool that you must log in and then still log in into another tool to do performance management, or still log into another tool to do HR. This is like integrated within your business management, So now,
so different departments, you can have it at a departmental level.
Yes. So within the tool itself, there's other things. OKR is just one app of the tool. We've got a CRM, project management, accounting. We've got AI documents that you can generate, calendar, meeting app.
And would one need the full suite if I just wanted?
No. You don't need the full suite. You don't need the full suite. Okay. The most basic one has OKRs, the smallest one, and it has OKRs, and then it has the manager app, because you need the manager to sort of do the OKRs. And I'm going to demonstrate to you now how the manager fits in, how this manager app fits in with the performance management, and how it's nicely integrated with an individual's HR file and everything, which makes it simple, which I think is one thing we did that some of the other tools don't have, that integration. You still have to then log in into another tool to do to do HR, for example,
Okay. No, got it. Thank you.
Yes. And any other question there?
Hi, Bertha. Yeah. You mentioned something earlier with regards to KPIs and how SMART goals are usually implemented during KPIs. I wanted to ask, would SMART goals also be able to be implemented into OKRs, or is that just something that will, in essence, already fall into OKRs automatically?
Yes. SMART goals, in essence, OKRs have to be SMART goals, because what is SMART? It's remember what SMART stands for: simple, measurable, what is it, attainable, and within a time limit, right? Am I right?
Yes. Achievable, relevant.
Achievable, relevant, within a time limit. So all of those actually represent the kind of key results you would put in. If you look at our key results, it's something which is achievable. Like, you wouldn't come here and say, oh no, we're gonna start doing 100 tenders a week. I mean, you need to start thinking about the team that you have. What can we do that is achievable, right? So we're not doing any tenders. Let's just start with one tender a week. That's achievable. And because you've already said it's one a week, it's already measurable, because you're going to be able to measure it. At the end of every week, you can measure whether or not you have done it. And you need the measuring part to do the metrics. So by definition, key results are already SMART. It's part of how they are all formed. They are formed to be SMART by design. So I hope that answers your question. It's and it forces them to be smart, because you have to think about how you're going to measure them and all of those things before you even enter them into the system, because you have to put in all those numbers that you must measure.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yes, cool. All right, so okay, I'm gonna try and be very quick because we have like about 10 minutes before the end of the session, and we will finish on time. Now, the second part is that I promised to talk about is the performance management. So within organizations, especially with small businesses, and I was telling my employee the other day that it's something that often gets overlooked, and small business owners don't take it seriously, and they don't always do performance management. And then when you have to sit with somebody and have a difficult conversation, it's hard to discuss why or where we are or how your performance is. But this tool integrates nicely into how you would do performance management. So it integrates into the HR part, and it integrates into a manager. So because we have departments built in, when you enter people into the software, you already enter who their manager is. So already the software knows everybody's line manager. So if I go into my manager app, which, because I'm a manager, I'll have this, and it comes default, and I go and I look into the HR files of the people, I will see their HR files and all the stuff they've loaded or stuff in there. And let's say let me just pick myself here, and then I'll pick my performance management. You'll see I don't have a performance thingy for myself, but I should, right? But imagine it was another employee. So you would pick and you'd get started here, and you'll see it's empty. So when you get started, you need to create a new performance management cycle, and it's very simple. The performance management cycle just has a start date, an end date, and the next time you must have a check-in. And obviously we have it like this because we don't want a check-in at the end of the cycle, right? So the cycle can be for the year, can be from the beginning. So you could have from the beginning of January, you could say the 1st of January, and you could say maybe until December the 31st. But the next check-in is this time next month, for example. So next month, today on the 17th, we'll have a check-in, which means on a monthly basis, you'll sit with this employee and discuss how you're doing on the performance, right? And then you'll say, add a new performance review. Now, once you've done that, it takes you to this page where you can see the whole performance. There's a lot of things that happen here, but this is where they link into the OKRs, because there's other things we have to do with performance management which I don't need to cover. What I want to focus on is the objectives and how you're gonna now assign OKRs to an individual that will be tracked within their performance management. So now within this page where we're doing OKRs objective list, I've created one objective there, right? Now at the top of the performance report, I can add an objective for this person. And the objectives that we have created, okay, you don't see anyone here because there's no objective assigned to me in the objective list. If there was an objective assigned to me, if I'd created on this page an objective that I assigned to myself, it would appear on this drop-down list, right? And then I would be able to just add this objective to the performance management. However, even though you track it from this side, with the key results and everything, but it's included in this performance management report, which means that on a monthly basis or whenever the next check-in is and you need to have a session and a meeting with your employee, you can discuss how you are doing on that objective. Otherwise, you can create a new one. So I could create a new objective for myself and say, okay, there's nothing in here, but I know I need to do something. I don't know. I'm going to create a random one. I'll delete it later. Let's say I want an objective to, cut costs by 10%. That's a high level thing. And then it's a corporate because I'm the manager, and then I need to cut costs. Okay, costs, right? I've assigned myself an objective, and there you go. It's sitting there. If you go back to your OKRs and you go back to the objectives list over there, you should see that objective as well, now created in the list. that you see cut cost by 10%. You've added it from the other side, but it will show up on the list of your objectives, and you can also start tracking it like you're tracking all your other OKRs in the same place, right? And whatever you track and report on this side is also shown on the performance side. And if there's key results, they are also shown here, and you can also see how well the person is doing. So at the end of the period, when you're having this performance report, you can say, how are you doing on your goals, which is a measurable thing that you can discuss. There's other things, with employees, we add their strengths and weaknesses. How are you doing? What is a good thing that you're doing? What is something that is a weakness of yours that we need to work on? We talk about competencies. These are not connected to OKRs. This is just on a performance management level. Let's say you need to put somebody through a development program. You can add a competency. You can say, like with me, for example, some of my developers, I'll say, you need to develop a competency to be able to develop this type of application by the end of the period, and that's a competency. And then within that competency, we'll talk about how we're going to train you to do all those things, whether we're going to take you for a program or whether I'm just going to give you projects, how we're going to achieve this competency. And there's ways that when we have our check-in sessions, because we need to have our check-in sessions monthly, we discuss how well you're doing on the competency. So the whole point of the competency is to of this check-in is to be proactive, so that by the end of the period, we don't look at the performance management and say, well, you know what, you didn't do half the things you were supposed to do this year, so you're going to get a 1 or whatever, with respect to your performance. The whole point is that we track this on a regular basis, that by the end of this, cycle end, we can say that, you've achieved those things that were assigned to you. There's more. I think we've got start, stop, continue, and we've got additional notes, and then there's other things you can add here. And this is a report. Whatever you write here on your manager app is private to you as a manager, yes, but the employee can also see this report on their side, right? They can't change it or edit it or remove an objective if it was assigned to them, or or adjust numbers to make the report look better, but they can view and see what they are doing. So on their own, so this is a cloud-based platform, a real time. Once I've added this on the thing, if the employee logs in on their login and they go into their personal app and they look at their performance reviews, they are able to see also what they are doing, so they can see the results before the end of the year. They don't have to at the end of the year to see how well they are doing, so they can work on improving if things need to be improved upon, or things like that. The whole point is transparency with how you're managing your employees' performance. And this is a very simple thing at 300 Rand. I think, some of these HR tools that corporates use, cost quite a bit. And that's why some managers just don't do this. This is very simple. With my team, we set this up. We just give ourselves one morning on a Friday and we set up our goals and our performances, and they were done. After that, it's just a matter of the check-in on a regular basis, the stand-up sessions, and the check-in and the actions, and how we make up and get back to where we need to be, So I think we've got like 5 minutes left. I'm gonna leave this to last-minute questions, before we end the meeting at 7. Last-minute questions? All right, cool. If there's no last minute questions, I just want to share a couple of things in the chat. We've written up a blog that you can use to, let me actually stop sharing my screen so I can see the chat in the meeting for this last part. I've written up a blog which you can use to read, because I was trying not to be theoretical and be more practical. But if you've missed anything I've said, this blog has got screenshots and things. A lot of the things I was saying is included in there if you want to catch up with that. And also I will, because I was recording this session, we'll try and make some of the recording available to people that wanna, so if somebody missed the session, we'll try and I don't know how we'll make the recording available, to be honest, but I'll have it. And like I said, you saw my email address. If you want to, reach out to me, you're more than welcome. Let me also share my LinkedIn in case you want to get in touch with me on my LinkedIn. You're more than welcome, because the whole point of these sessions is to make the connections. And I'm more than happy to connect with everybody on LinkedIn. So just reach out and let me know. Yeah. Any last comments? If there's no last comments, or the email
Great
address.
session. Thank you.
Yeah, let me reshare the email address in the discussion. So yeah, feel free to reach out to me on my email. Although even if you just like send me a friend request on LinkedIn and then you send a LinkedIn email, I'll probably respond to that faster than I respond to my emails, because with all this spam that we get these days, half of the good emails get lost in the spam, and I don't know how to get rid of spam these days. They're just like, you get a new email address within a month, it's full of spam emails. So
sorry, but maybe you can talk a little bit about Coco, how like the packages and everything, and what's included in each package and stuff like that, and how does one link up with you related to that?
Okay. Anybody that wants to leave, you're more than welcome to leave the meeting, but I will, because it was requested, I'll just share some of the packages around Coco. So I'm sharing my screen again. So how you get a hold of the software I'm talking about is you just go straight into, the website is coco.io. I can also put this in the chat there, and then you can just like get to it. And once you get here, if you go into the pricing, where is it? Pricing, there you go. You can see the pricing for it. So this is about $20 is like about 300 and something rand. It includes the OKRs. So what you guys are interested in is included within the $20 a month, and this is like really cheap. I mean, it's cheaper than a lot of these cloud platforms, and you can use up to 3 people for this $20. So it's not per person, it's for per company. And you can have up to, like, I'm on the $20 package and I have up to 3 people that I've loaded onto Skoko. So you don't have to, if you have like employees that don't need to be on Skoko, you don't have to load them. I've only loaded 3, but others don't need to be on it. So I'm on the 20 package, and then it has the objective key results and leave management, a little bit of payroll, employee records. There's a lot that, I mean, if I had to do a Skoko demo, we would sit here for 3 hours. There's a lot in the application. The whole point is it's the one app that you can use to manage a lot of what you need to do in your business, as opposed to, instead of buying 10, 20 different softwares. And then the next package is this one, the business one, where we have project management and finance. People say I shouldn't call it accounting, it's finance, because it's not complex accounting, but it's very simple things like loading invoices, quotes, being able to see your management account, stuff like that, is included in this package, in the $28 package. And then the pro one is where if you want to do CRM, this is like being able to do sales and marketing over and above this. That's what's in there: mailing lists, mailing groups, newsletters. I actually do my newsletter in Skoko as well. You can load your contacts in here and send them like regular newsletter emails and stuff like that. And all of this, you have the AI document generation thing. So a lot of what you have on ChatGPT, you have on here. Like, you can generate AI documents, but it's focused on the business side. So AI documents, I mean, let's say you want to do like a business proposal or whatever, and you don't know how to get started structuring an AI document, you can use the functionality there for AI documents. So we generate a lot of AI tools in here. So that document I was sharing with you, Lebo, the other day, the employee, what was it? I think it was the employee thingy document, where you're gonna write a, what is it?
Job description.
The job description, yes, the job description and the skills matrix and those kind of things, where you don't have templates, and in corporate you would have templates for those kind of things. Over here with Skoko, you can just come here and say you want to generate a business document, and you can just say, hey, what type of business document. You can select, I want a legal document, for example, and then it will, you want to do a terms of service or a non-compete agreement, intellectual property document. There you go. And then it gets started and generates the document for you. So a lot of the business stuff, instead of templates, because people asked us, why don't you guys have templates? And we said, no, instead of templates, let's just use AI to do the stuff, and then you can give it high level things, and then boom, it generates you a proper intellectual property agreement, legal document, or whatever it is, which is useful for small businesses who are not gonna have, tools to do these things themselves manually, or have a QMS that has 100 templates in it, and stuff like that. I hope that's helpful. Yes.
Yes.
All right, cool. And how you get started? Yeah, sorry, I forgot that part. If you go there, there's a free trial. You can actually use it for free for 2 weeks, right? So if you go to the website, there, the button here would say get started. Mine it says dashboard because I'm logged in. It will say get started. If you click on it, you can actually register and use it for free for 2 weeks, and then only after 2 weeks it will kick you out. But 2 weeks I think is long enough for you to test all these things out and decide if you like it or not. Yeah. And with that, I think, yeah, I'm done. So thank you guys. Any last questions? All right. If there's no last questions, thank you guys. Yes, let me just share the meetup link, because we also shared this event on meetup, and maybe there's some ladies out there that want to, to join our meetup group. Our meetup group is for women in tech. All right. And women in tech is, I wanna create a network for women. I know there's guys as well, but like, you're more than welcome to join our network if you want to. But we want to be like a proper network support group, and we'll do live events as well in the future. I just wanted to have the first one as a virtual one to just see how the attendance would look like. But our next one will probably be a live event, and we're going to grow this network into a formidable, group that supports women within technology, or just women in business in general. Yeah. And with that, I'm going to close the meeting. Thank you guys. We'll see you at our next one. Yeah. And thanks for coming.